Do you feel the vibes?
Max here from RC Car Awesomeness, and today we will be doing a kind of like how to make your quad look and perform awesome. So first off, you can see my quad looks pretty different from the last video. Been doing some work on it. First off, we'll start with the ESC covers. You can see nice accent it gives with all the other blue components on here. But other than looking good, it makes the quad better in a durability standpoint because it protects the ESCs from prop strikes. And what those are is basically when you're in a crash or something and the propeller will bend down and strike the ESC, usually somewhere over here, which is why when you put these on, you want to make sure that they're slid down by these wires so that when the propeller strikes, it'll usually strike there and the ESC cover is there to protect that. And over here, you're not going to need too much protection. However, you can kind of see it slides over there, and it gives a really nice look to it. The only it's pretty simple to put on. However, you will need some soldering experience, I guess, because these go all around your ESCs, and you're going to need to take off the heat shrink, take your soldering iron, and I took off the motors as well because when I was doing this, I put on the soft mounts for my motors, and I'll explain that later in this vid. But you take those off, you take soldering iron, you unsolder the wires, slide this on, resolder them, put a heat shrink thing on, and put on the cover, and then put 2 zip ties around. So, moving on to the next thing. We have the aluminum anodized screws that I put on. And again, these are all like the looks that improve the looks on your quad, make your quad look nice and customized and appealing, I guess. So you can see I have 4 here, and these are 4 leftovers from the motor screws that I ordered. And yes, I did have to cut these. And the way you want to cut them is you could take, what I use is actually this little wire snipper, which you can put some screws in there and cut them. So that's what I use. But you could use a hacksaw, possibly even a Dremel with some sort of like cutting bit on there. And then you want to take a grinder and you want to go around in a 45-degree angle around the tip of the screw so that it'll go in nice. And what I also did is I took M3, because that's what kind of screw this is, took an M3 nut, put it on, then cut it so that when I made sure everything's good and grinded it down on a 45-degree angle, I unscrewed the nut, and that'll kind of like remove all the excess aluminum that's still sticking on, and make sure that when you screw it onto here, it's very nice and it won't like strip or nothing will happen. So that's basically how you cut it. If you want me to do like a tutorial on that, I will. I'll just put that in the comments below. And so anyways, kind of gives, these are 8mm screws, and you don't want to order 8mm unless you kind of have to estimate your how thick. I have motor guards on here and soft mounts, so you kind of want to get the size of the screw, with how thick you want them to go through. So you want to make sure that they're not too long, because they could go onto your motor wirings, which would not be good, and not too short, because then they wouldn't go up to your motors. So that's how I got those, and I got them in blue because they look really nice. Next up, we have the motor nuts. So these came with my drone. However, this is a great thing that you can. Motor nuts are usually anodized, so you can kind of customize them, and they're pretty cheap also, so you can kind of get the color that you want. I might be ordering up some blue or black ones pretty soon, since there isn't much red on my quad. But yeah, so motor nuts, great way to customize it. Next, zip ties. So I mean, zip ties will make your quad look a lot neater, and they will be your friend in most situations. So you can kind of see zip tied my ESCs on, which look really nice. A lot of people do use like electrical tape, which is another great thing to do. It'll make it a lot neater. You can kind of see some electrical tape on my receiver and over here on this capacitor wiring, so that the wires don't touch anything else. But electrical tape sometimes on the ESCs, I don't like the way it looks. However, it'll do the job. A lot of people put a propeller as an ESC guard. They'll like take a propeller, they'll cut it, and they'll electrical tape it around. I mean, you could do that. It'll serve its purpose, but I just thought zip ties and the nice anodized ESC covers look a little bit better. So, moving on. Now it's kind of this is like a middle thing with performance and looks. I have two canopies here, which are made with a bottle like this. You can kind of see. This is actually one of the buy drink bottles, which I looked at the bottle and I was like, probably make something cool out of that. So this is like a DIY thing. I kind of came up with this because the 2017 version of this quad has like a TPU 3D printed canopy. I thought, why not make my own? And this one's kind of cool because it's so light. It's probably lighter than those, and yet it does its job. And I kind of made this canopy to have like a, out of this, how to screw the thing on. I kind of cut it so that the propellers can go through, but it kind of protects the camera, which is kind of cool. So I'll be testing how these work, and I'll be strapping these on somehow. But yeah, and I will also be painting these with this paint right here. This is Rust-Oleum metallic paint, and I feel like it'll be a nice color. And this is, I just took a scrap piece of plastic and put it on. This is not even a good paint job at all. I just really quickly put some on, which is why it's uneven stuff. But this is how it's going to look, kind of, which I think is going to look really nice. So, I mean, these are just pretty straightforward ideas that I've had on making my quad neater. Also, with the zip ties over here, kind of zip tied these antenna holders in, and along with the buzzer, which makes it look a lot neater than hot gluing it or something like that. However, if you hot glue is a great way to kind of neaten things up, as long as it isn't a lot of hot glue, then it kind of doesn't look really good. So next up, to more of the performance aspect of this video, is we have first the soft mounts. So what soft mounts essentially do is they take vibrations caused by the motors and the propellers mainly, and they dampen it so that your gyro, which is, you can't really see it right now, it's covered up by my receiver, but the gyro inside my flight controller is very sensitive on most quads. And what the soft mounting will do is it'll dampen the vibrations so that the vibrations don't kind of mess with the gyro in the flight controller, and that'll cause kind of better flying and more smoother flying because your gyro won't be as affected from vibrations. And I have soft mounts in between my frame and my motor, and also this 3D printed like material over here that the screws mount on also has like a effect on vibrations, because it's, I don't know, it takes away some of the thing from the carbon. So next we have the flight controller thing, or vibration dampeners here, and this is just something, I'll have links to all of these things that I'm mentioning in the video, but you can kind of see they're like sandwiched my flight controller so that my gyro also doesn't get any vibrations. And this is another really cheap way to kind of make your quad perform better. There's plenty of videos that really discuss in depth on how this works and everything. You can go check those out if you want some more detail on soft mounting your stuff. It's a great, really cheap way and easy way to make your quad perform a lot better. So next we have capacitors. So this is another really popular thing lately, and many people have been doing it. Is having capacitors on your quad. So you can kind of see, this is the capacitor I use. It's a 25 volt 470 UF low ESR capacitor. And I know many of you guys are going to go, oh yeah, that's not enough. Since if you guys know anything about capacitors, it's not the best. If I'm putting it on here, it's not, many people will say it's not big enough to absorb everything. However, I mean, I really don't want a huge 1000 UF 35 volt thing sticking out of here. So I just bought something smaller, and I also don't want 4 little ones. And the way capacitors work is they basically take voltage spikes, and coming from the motor stop on your motors, when you zero down your throttle, the motors stop and will cause like a voltage spike to go through. The best way to put your capacitors is to put like 4 on these red and black wires right here, and right here. So you'll put 4. I have mine on the XT60 connector on the flight controller, kind of mounted like that, which should at least like protect most of my electronics from getting damaged or anything. I mean, it should be enough for that, which is what I want it to be. I don't know if I'm going to notice a difference or not, but I just bought it to protect my electronics. And they're really cheap, so you don't really have to worry about cost too much with the capacitors. It's better to be safe than sorry. I mean, better to spend money on a little capacitor than buying a new board or something like that, flight controller, camera, or something like that. I mean, usually they don't. With many of these, many people don't run capacitors because nothing's really ever happened. But there's a couple people that claim that because of the voltage spikes, something like burned out or something, or shorted out or something. So next, camera lens. So on here I have a Sony HS 1177 camera, which is a decent camera. It's not bad. It's not like the best. Maybe for my next upgrade, I was hoping to get like a Foxy or Monster, but this camera lens makes this camera a lot better. This is a GoPro lens, which I have in the description below, and this makes this camera a lot better, and it'll give it a wide angle as well as improve your color and things like that. It's a huge upgrade from the lens that it comes with. The lens is a little expensive. It's like $11, but it does improve the performance of it a lot. So I know this video is getting a little long right here, but the next thing is propellers. So these are Dow 5050C. These are the Cyclone blades, as well as these. These are the 2 propellers that I use. These are new. I've never flown these, so I thought I'd mention them in the video, but I've never flown them, so I don't know how they will perform. However, the reason I bought these is for overall flying. I want more efficiency, and since I don't fly really hard, this should be enough to give me the power I need, but at the efficiency I want. So there's plenty of videos on the benefits of 2-bladed props versus 3-bladed. I'll make one if you guys are interested, but there's plenty of benefits to like the pitch and all that kind of stuff on a 2-blade versus a 3-blade and things like that. So I know this video is a little bit long. Hope you enjoyed it, but these are some tips and tricks to kind of get you guys a nice looking quad as well as a well performing quad. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. In the comments, put below anything you want, any requests for videos and things that you've seen in this video. I will do my best to make those videos, and yeah, hope you enjoyed.
That I'm at an all-time low.